Have you ever noticed how the more available you are to everyone, the more you answer every call, reply to every message, say yes to every request, the less people seem to truly value you? Have you ever wondered why the ones you care about most sometimes treat you as if you were invisible, until the moment you finally pull away? If you felt that sting before, then I want you to stay with me because today we're diving into one of the most misunderstood but transformative truths Carl Jung pointed toward. When you stop being constantly available, everything, your relationships, your self-worth, even your destiny, begins to change. This isn't about becoming selfish or cold. It's about reclaiming your own energy, your own presence, your own life. And once you see this, you won't be able to go back. We've all been taught from an early age that being a good person means being available. Be there for your friends. Answer immediately when someone needs you. Sacrifice your time, your boundaries, your own peace, so no one ever feels abandoned. And so, little by little, we become conditioned to believe that our worth lies in our accessibility, that love must be proven through endless availability. But here's the uncomfortable truth. This very availability that you think binds you to others is often the very thing that erodes the depth of connection. When you are always there, always saying yes, always accessible, you stop being seen. You fade into the background, like wallpaper, useful, reliable, predictable, but no longer mysterious, no longer magnetic. Carl Jung warned of this dynamic in subtle but profound ways. He said that whatever you make unconscious will eventually control your life, and most of us have made our need for belonging and approval unconscious. It drives us silently, so we overextend, we overgive, we overstay. We cling to being present because deep down we fear that if we're not constantly available, we'll be forgotten. But paradoxically, the opposite is true. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a friend who was always there, always picking up the phone, always willing to listen, always ready to cancel their plans for you? At first, you loved it. It felt safe, comforting. But over time, didn't you begin to take it for granted? Didn't their availability start to feel less like love and more like expectation? Now, think of someone else, maybe someone whose time was scarce, who carried a certain presence. When they gave you their attention, it felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. You hung onto their words. You remembered those moments. Their absence gave weight to their presence. That's the paradox. Absence creates value. Scarcity creates depth. When you stop being constantly available, people begin to notice your presence again. Here is the shifting moment, the truth you might not want to hear. Being endlessly available doesn't make people love you more. It makes them respect you less, because availability without boundaries communicates something at the deepest unconscious level. It says, "My time is not valuable. My energy is not scarce. You don't need to earn me because I will always be here." And when you declare this, silently, through your actions, people believe you. They stop valuing you, not because they are cruel, but because it's human psychology. We are wired to desire what is rare, to cherish what is limited, to respect what we must work to keep. Jung once wrote that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, and part of accepting yourself is recognizing that your presence, your attention, your availability are precious. They are not infinite. They must not be given to everyone, all the time, without discernment. Think of your availability like water in a desert. If you pour it into every hole you see, you'll dry up before you quench anyone's thirst. But if you offer it with intention, when and where it truly matters, it becomes sacred. Let me share a story. A woman once told me about her father. He was a kind man, endlessly giving, always helping his neighbors, always answering every call. People adored him. But when he died, she noticed something strange. The neighbors cried. They praised him. They said how much they would miss him. But within a few weeks, life went on. The favors stopped, and he was forgotten. She realized something heartbreaking. Her father had lived as though the best use of his life was to always be available for others. But because he was always there, no one ever truly saw him. His constant presence became invisible. His sacrifices dissolved into the background noise of daily life. That's what happens when you live without boundaries. Your light gets diffused, your energy dissipates, and the very people you want to love, you start overlooking you. Now, let's pause, because you might be thinking, so what? Should I become cold? Should I just shut everyone out? This isn't about cutting love. It's about creating respect. It's about shifting from being an endless well that anyone can drain to being a river that flows with direction. When Jung spoke of individuation, the process of becoming your true self, he meant that you must withdraw the projections you've placed on others and the projections others have placed on you. That means stepping back from the role of eternal rescuer, eternal listener, eternal yes-sayer, and reclaiming your wholeness. You are not here to be available to everyone. You are here to be true. So, what actually happens when you stop being constantly available? At first, you will feel guilty, terribly guilty. The guilt comes because your unconscious has been trained to equate no with rejection, with failure, with being unlovable. But guilt is not truth. Guilt is a reflex built by conditioning. Then some people will be upset. They will say you've changed. They will accuse you of being selfish. But pay close attention. These are usually the people who benefited from your lack of boundaries, the ones who drank from your well without ever offering water back. Their anger is not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's proof that you've broken the contract of your own self-erasure. And then, something extraordinary begins to happen. You notice your energy returning. Your presence deepens. People start to listen when you speak, not because your words are louder, but because they're rarer. You become someone whose time matters, whose presence means something, because it is not endlessly scattered. Your relationships change. Some fade away, but the ones that remain grow deeper, more authentic, because they are built not on your availability, but on mutual respect. Jung once observed that loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. When you stop being constantly available, you stop trying to communicate through endless presence, through overgiving, through doing too much. Instead, you begin to communicate with truth, with presence that has weight, with silence that has meaning, and this changes everything. But let's bring this down to the core of human experience. Why do we cling so desperately to being available in the first place? Because deep down, we're afraid. Afraid that if we say no, people will leave. Afraid that if we set boundaries, we'll be alone. Afraid that our worth is conditional and that without proving ourselves through endless giving, we are nothing. This fear is what Jung called a shadow, an unconscious wound that drives your behavior without your awareness. And, as long as you remain blind to this shadow, you'll keep sacrificing yourself, hoping for love, while receiving only crumbs of appreciation in return. The transformation comes when you bring this shadow into the light. When you see the fear clearly and say, I am still worthy, even if I am not endlessly available. I am still lovable, even if I say no. I am still me, even if I step away. This is individuation. This is self-acceptance. So, what is the path forward? It is not a list of quick tricks. It is a slow, courageous reorientation of your entire being. It begins with awareness. The next time you feel that reflex to say yes, pause. Notice the tightness in your chest, the fear in your stomach, the guilt rising in your throat. Don't react, just observe. That pause is the seed of transformation. Then comes honesty. Begin to speak small truths. A gentle, I can't today. A calm, I need some time. Each time you do, you reclaim a piece of your soul, and finally comes presence. With the energy you reclaim, pour yourself into what truly matters, into your growth, into your passions, into the relationships that nourish you. Presence given by choice, not compulsion, becomes sacred. It carries a weight that others feel in their bones. Let me tell you something Jung understood deeply. People respect what respects itself. When you respect your own time, your own presence, your own boundaries, others are forced to adapt. Some will fall away, others will rise to meet you, but in both cases, you will finally be free. Free from being the wallpaper in someone else's story. Free from being the background character in your own life. Free to stand as you are, whole, rare, luminous. So here's the conclusion I want you to hold on to. When you stop being endlessly available, you don't lose people, you lose illusions. You shed the relationships that were never built on respect, and in their place, you gain something far more precious: clarity, freedom, self-respect. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And you cannot become who you are while being endlessly consumed by who others expect you to be. So the challenge is simple, but not easy. Stop being constantly available. Let people miss you. Let silence speak. Let absence create value. Because when you finally realize that your presence is a gift, you'll stop giving it away cheaply, and in that moment, everything changes. Now, I want to leave you with a question that only you can answer. In your life right now, where are you giving yourself away too cheaply? Where are you always available, even when it drains you? Write it down. Share it in the comments, because sometimes the act of putting it into words is the first step to reclaiming your power. And if this spoke to you, don't stop here. Keep going. Because the journey to yourself is the greatest journey you'll ever take. And as Jung knew, once the light of awareness shines, you cannot return to the darkness of unknowing. See you in the next video.